Alright, it's Curtis back with another assembly video. If you haven't watched the review of the trolley, go back and watch that. I think it's a good review. I got this trolley on the October release sale. I don't remember the specific day. I want to say it was like mid to later October. The trolley system normally costs $900 for the Monster Lite. The first 150 or 200 of them, I'm not sure the specific numbers, doesn't really matter because it's not going anymore, but the first bunch of people that ordered got the Monster Lite system for 150 bucks plus shipping, which for me down in Texas ended up being $207 shipped. Seems like an awesome deal for a $900 piece of equipment. It arrives in 5 boxes. Each trolley handle is in its own box. Each trolley cart or trolley is in its own box, and then the arms are in a box together. The trolley is actually double boxed, and I say it in the review, but the boxes were just not as big as I thought they would be. It makes sense when you see it on the rack, when you actually see how big the boxes are, but when you're unpackaging it, you're like, I feel like something might be missing. Of course, there's my daughter trying to help me, trying to tell me what to do. Part of the fun of assembly as a parent is trying to keep all the hardware from getting somewhere where it's not supposed to be. So I try to just give her packaging to play with. In the video, she's like, cool. I don't have the audio on though. So here's one of the actual trolleys. Now when I got the notification when I was at work, and when I got home for lunch, I put the first trolley together and remembered that I like to record these and put them up on YouTube. And so I left the second trolley completely disassembled. So you see you get the trolley, 2 rollers, and 2 bushings and 2 bolts. Everything else is already assembled, and you already get this plate. In the instructions, it's really clear on what you're supposed to do, but you legitimately have 4 parts that come in each trolley box. So here's the actual trolley handle. There was some drama with the trolley handles and the pins not lining up the way they were supposed to, but Rogue has awesome customer service, and they even dealt with me making mistakes. I called this the right trolley arm when in fact it was the left, and they had already shipped me parts, but again, Rogue is awesome. Customer service-wise, never had a problem. So the easiest way I could figure to do this is to throw the trolley around the upright, line up one of the safety holes, and then pin it. Because once you have it pinned, it's not going to go anywhere. Then you grab your hardware, so your roller bolt, and it all comes apart. And again, it's a bolt, a bushing, and then over the bushing is, oh, actually let's rewind. First you got to put this plate in. This plate keeps the rollers in line, I guess. It just helps keep it on there. There's some locking holes that it falls into. It's actually really easy to do. This is the second time I'm doing it, and it just takes me a couple seconds to get it lined up. The first time, it just took maybe 2 seconds longer. Super easy to figure out. You think it'd be more complicated for how advanced it is. But yeah, here's the roller. So inside of that roller, there's a bushing, and then you have the bolt that goes through one side and into out the other. And these are actually what rides on the upright for the power rack. So there's the bushing, there's the roller. Just falls right into place. Very tight tolerances on all these pieces of equipment, which is good. That's your typical Rogue quality. You're not getting a cheap piece of equipment. You're getting a good quality, made in USA. We're not talking about some Titan Fitness bullshit. Everything's going to fit the way it's supposed to fit. And if it doesn't, Rogue takes care of you, customer service-wise. So next on is the the actual arm. So what you don't see off camera is I'm grabbing there's a 1-inch pin that's going to go, there it is, and it's got 2 holes in it, and those holes go to some Allen bolts. So the easiest way, I actually struggle bust with this a little bit with the other arm, but I got it down pretty good for the second. I just was overthinking it the first time. But just get the pin started, get it through the hole. Make sure that this is one of the pain in the ass parts. And it's a relative pain in the ass, it's not difficult. But make sure that those screw holes are nice and lined up. On the first trolley arm that I put together, it had shifted off quite a bit. And so I was, of course, having a hard time getting the screws started. I ended up just having to do a scribe. I stuck a scribe through the hole and lined the holes back up. But again, just make sure that you're careful. You can see right there, learned from my mistake the first time, and it goes right in. And these don't have to be super tight. The screws are thread locked. Like there's some thread lock material that came from Rogue, and it was already on the bolt. So when you throw it in there, it's not going to move. After a month of using it, it still hasn't budged. So next up are there's 4 little Allen head screws, and what it does is it adjusts the rollers so that the front rollers and the rear rollers are either closer or further apart. The idea with this is you can adjust the play so that you can get a really smooth without being too tight. So the bolt is actually still loose. Again, this is something I learned from doing the first trolley arm to doing the second one. But it was keep the bolt loose, adjust these, and then tighten the bolt down, because once the bolt's tightened down, you're not going to move them. So you can see me, I'm kind of playing with the roller to see if it's actually at the distance away from the rack I want it to be. Ideally, you just want it to be right on the rack. One thing I would do different if I was giving somebody else advice, it would be to not install the arm before you actually adjust those bolts. The reason being is you can see me picking the arm up there and trying to relieve pressure and rocking the weight of the trolley up and down. If I just waited and installed the arms after I adjusted those set screws, I would not have had to do that. It's not a big deal, but it was just kind of a pain in the ass. And again, everything is a relative pain in the ass. Realistically, this is one of the easiest pieces of equipment I've ever put together. One of. Here's me double checking the other one. Right, now we got 4 bolts because we have 4 rollers. You just got to tighten those up. This is I watched another review. I watched Coop from Garage Gym Reviews, and he was saying that his arms don't move freely, or like they wouldn't fall all the way down. And I actually had that problem with the first one, and what I found is I had snugged these bolts up too tight. And when they're too tight, obviously there's not much tolerance, and it's pinching those arms. So with this one, what I was doing is I was going to, when there was 0 play in the bolt, plus like a quarter to a half turn, and just you feel it out for where it needs to be. Yeah, you can see me pushing the play out. If you have it too tight, it just tightens the rollers down. It makes it more difficult to move up and down. But too loose, and you have too much play in the system itself, and then you're left with a different problem. Where there's too much play. Probably cause damage to the power rack, scratches, etc. So this is actually kind of an annoying bit. The handles came assembled, but this bolt that holds the handle on what is actually the right trolley came that loose. Like all the other ones were nice and snugged up, but for whatever reason that one, maybe QC just missed it, but it wasn't actually tightened up. And they're actually pretty difficult to snug up. The bolt threads, and I even took it off at one point to see if it was cross-threaded, and it's not. It was just kind of a pain. Like, I'm pretty sure that once you have this thing snugged up, it's not coming back out. But again, just snugging it up. Just don't want the handle to turn at all. Then it was time to test it out. This, again, super exciting. You'd seen all the videos online, and watching people use this thing in a video is nothing like when you actually use it. 45-pound plates feel so heavy relative to me. Again, I usually tell people, like, I'm not a little guy, but I'm not quite a big guy. But 45-pound plates are heavier than you might think on one of these systems. So just kind of messing with it, playing with it. So you watch all the videos and you got like this uppercut. This sweet uppercut move works really well for conditioning. So then it's time to adjust the trolley up and down. There's two different ways that you can adjust the trolley height. You can take the weight off, or you can actually leave it on. I don't recommend leaving the weights on when you're moving the trolley up and down, because again, you're just adding weight. And the pins don't always, so like the set pin, that's supposed to be the Mondoose trigger, but on the Monster Lite it's not. It doesn't always fall into place as easily as you would hope. So if you got weight precariously hanging off your trolley handle, and you're trying to figure out how to get the weight down without crushing yourself, it can get a little bit hanky. I have gotten better at moving these handles up and down. It takes me all of about 3 seconds to get it from the top to the bottom. Usually I'll just release the trigger and then push the handle out with my foot as hard as I can. And doing that makes it so I can just drop the trolley arm all the way down. So here you can see I'm all like, I wonder if I can just, yeah. Again, don't recommend moving it with the weights on. Don't be lazy. For whatever reason, people that work the hardest in the gym tend to be the laziest people sometimes. So don't be lazy. And again, this is right out of the box, so I have no experience using this thing at all. So the amount of time it's taking to go from one position to another is not actually what it takes. It goes way quicker after you get some experience with the piece of equipment. One thing I will say is there's stickers all over it that say pinch hazard, and it's a pretty real pinch hazard. It's not in the way, like your fingers aren't precarious, like in the way at all. Like I'm not worried about actually pinching myself. But if you got kids, I wouldn't recommend storing these handles where they can get to the trolley itself, because it is a pretty hefty piece of equipment. If something were to happen, I would hate for my 2-year-old to magically get her fingers jammed in there. I feel like you get your fingers sucked into this thing and it's no longer your finger. Lots of variations you can do with these handles. You can do rows. So here I am, probably going to move it back up. I like to store these as high up as they can go. And then I always pin them. Now I always pin them wherever they're at. I'm always very safety minded in the gym. I have little kids. I don't want my little kids getting hurt in my gym for something stupid that I can control. Handles come off real easy. And at the time I was thinking in my head like, all right, cool, so I got to store these handles somewhere. Where the hell am I going to put these? Because I'm in a pretty small garage. But you'll see in the next clip I came up with really creative solution. So there's always the, where the hell am I supposed to put this pin? So this is where I keep my handles. After I get done using them, I pop the handle off of the trolley arm, and you can see the first one's already hanging there from the 3x3 cross member that goes between my two uprights on my middle uprights. And I use them as pull-up bars as well. So you just pin it in the up position, and it's a perfect storage solution. I did have to move my pull-up bar closer to the front of my rack so I could still use my monkey bar, but that's assembly. So that's the assembly of the Trolley LT-1. I do recommend watching my review. Coop from Garage Dream Reviews also has a very in-depth review, but his is on the Monster series. But that's the assembly. If you like these kind of videos, please like this one. Give it like the thumbs up, and go ahead and subscribe. I'm trying to get more of these videos put out on a more regular basis, and I'll see you next time.